So what then? I want to get down to the bottom of this about, you know, voice and data.
Basically, they've set their networks up so you have to switch from one antenna to the other, and until you switch, you're not on. Which means if you're using data and somebody calls you, they'll go to your voicemail, and vice versa. It's a limitation either of CDMA. As I understood it, it's a limitation of CDMA technology itself.
Well, I know it used to be. I thought it had changed. I mean, I don't know what my Palm Pre is doing. I have 3G on.
See, I am almost. I'm wondering if the Pre's not.
I don't know, unless it's using Wi-Fi.
That might be what it's doing. I don't know.
But in my car?
No, that wouldn't be.
I mean,
see, it's what it's got to be doing is maybe your Pre's doing built-in IP packetizing. I don't know. Maybe because there are applications for Android that will let you do your cell phone that will let you use your cell phone minutes over an IP protocol. My guess is, and that's the obvious way around that. But it's like with what you're showing and what you're bringing up, I'm wondering how much of this is a true limitation of CDMA technology and how much of it is an artificial limitation of the carriers.
Yeah, because it's SVDO, which is simultaneous voice and EBDO data, unlike GSM. Oh, it does say EVDO cannot do both right now, so our 3G connection becomes interrupted during calls.
Mm-hmm.
Like Truecaller. So they're saying that Sprint or Verizon okay, so there is a CDMA spec. It's called SVDO. So that's the simultaneous data and voice. So this must be using. It must be using
the other channel.
Yeah, it must be using Wi-Fi or something at the same time, which I don't know how I could do. I mean, I have it open exploration, and I live in densely populated areas, but I'm sure they have. There's plenty of open networks on the way. That would be the only way to explain that.
I guess.
So, but okay, so SVDO is where it's at. But then again, all right, they're building LTE and WiMAX. The argument goes where at that point? I don't know.
Well, see, here's what's going to happen at some point, and there's actually an AT&T phone that already does this, and I know the other carriers are planning to do them at some point. To address this problem, what more and more of the carriers are looking at doing is doing their cell phone minutes over a VoIP thing, where it's just all bits and it's all treated as data. However, the thing that quickly comes in when they do that is the only way they can really sell you that well is if they start hindering competition and preventing you from getting outside VoIP services. Because as these things become more and more like computers, it's like, well, you're sending me 500 minutes for $15 a month, and over here I can get unlimited for $2 a month. So I'm going to go with them, and I don't want your $15 a month thing. You know, say you have to. Ultimately, I see either some class actions or the federal regulators getting involved here to straighten this out, because it's like you're saying I have to buy your service, which is identical to service B, but yours costs 5 times as much and does less.
Hey. All right, yeah. I forced Wi-Fi to go off.
And so you're still doing it.
It's telling me to enable Wi-Fi.
Ah, okay. That's what you're doing. You're just very lucky. You're in an area where you have enough Wi-Fi coverage.
Okay, so that's what's happened because I forced it off on that.
So your phone's doing dynamic switching to keep you from running off, and an Android device will do that too.
Yeah, it's saying hey. It's saying hey.
I thought it was a limitation of the technology. It's been a while since I've looked at tech specs for these, but I could swear that it was a limitation of the technology.
I thought when they made the new spec, which I confused EVDO with SVDO. So, because I knew that CDMA had come out with a simultaneous data and voice package, it's just not adopted by the carriers.
It isn't. And I don't think they ever will. I think they've honestly, I don't think they have any interest in refreshing their CDMA networks. I think it's going to be, we'll have to wait 3 to 5 years while they build out their 4G networks, and then,
right.
And then the downside to there is, you know, depending on what goes on there, the end consumer may still lose, because it's right now when it comes to cell phone stuff, bits are not bits. And they're working very hard to convince federal regulators that all bits are not created equal, and they should be allowed to force us to buy their service over somebody else's that is much better competition just because it happens to be their network. I don't think their bits and packets should be given favorable anything. I think they should have to compete. I think I should be paying for access, and that's the thing. That's hopefully with it. I need to do more research into that company. Somebody emailed me.
Apparently Canada is there are some Canadian companies that have CDMA that are using SVDO.
Yeah,
they can get those companies.
No. Canada has both GSM and CDMA, just like the States. But like you say, they're not hindering progress. Like this,
yeah, because I really
the honest reason they don't have anyone they have to compete with. It's the cell phone companies in the U.S. are like the airlines. There's company, you can go with company A or you can go with company B. I realize that per capita we have more companies than most countries. I think we have like 20 to 40 per capita area, but as far as good nationwide networks, we have 2 to 3. So when one does something, they all do something. It's just, and they don't really have to openly compete, and we all lose. It annoys me, it infuriates me, and it infuriates me even more so that Google didn't have the stomach for actually fighting with them. Because
so basically going